the drama that the World Series provides, pitch by pitch, right? Yesterday, we talked about Game 7 last week, and we talked about how Game 7 was so big in sports and how I thought it's the best thing sports had to offer. I'm going to take it a step further and say that the pitch by pitch drama that the World Series provides is unmatched. It's the only thing that comes close is March Madness. And I say that because last night, in a me show, okay, please don't talk baseball. I am sorry, I'm not a fan. It's not going to be the whole show, me show. Stay on tight. We're going to talk football. We're going to talk Eagles Jaguars coming up in the 11 o'clock hour because tomorrow, Joe, they're playing in London. We'll be on the air at 10:30. There'll be an hour into the game. So we're going to actually preview Eagles Jaguars today. A little bit of a different shakeup because tomorrow's show is going to be live during the game. So we're not going to be able to actually preview how big this game is for the Philadelphia Eagles. So just a little bit of baseball mixed in with some football talk. And of course, college football Saturday today, the top 5 games of college football. We'll talk about that. It's a great board of college football. And, when you look at this time of the year, the last week of October, Halloween is coming up in a couple of days. I know there was a bunch of trick-or-treaters out yesterday. We were out with the kids and we were, trick-or-treating with the family. And we'll get into something I saw yesterday, Joe, that had me going. I know you know what rant I was on as we were trick-or-treating. This is something you just can't do as a trick-or-treat 101, and it was done yesterday. We'll talk about that later in the show. But we'll have a lot to discuss. Eagles-Jaguars is the big discussion if you're a Philadelphia fan. Of course, the NFL tomorrow, another big card in the NFL. It seems like every Sunday there's one or two big games. Again, the Packers and the Rams tomorrow is a doozy. Pittsburgh's back off their bye. We'll talk a lot of NFL tomorrow, but we do want to talk Eagles-Jags because they're in London. That game starts at 9:30. The Eagles can't afford to lose this game. I know I'm not reinventing the wheel. I'm not saying something that's crazy or out of this world or something that's you're not going to hear anywhere else the last 6-7 days. This is a big one for both teams. And to think that both teams were in the championship games of their conferences last year, and then of course the Eagles went on to win the Super Bowl. Now they're in a position where nobody wants to lose this game tomorrow. So the Eagles cannot afford to go 3-5. This would be a disaster for the Philadelphia Eagles and, say the season's over. I wouldn't go that far because the NFC East is just terrible. And I don't believe in the Washington Redskins, even though they've looked pretty damn good the last few weeks and they've played well. But we're gonna get into that here in the 11 o'clock hour. We'll talk Eagles Jaguars, what to expect from the Eagles, and where's the nervousness, right? Where's the panic in the Philadelphia fans? Because I heard a lot of it this week listening to local radio. So we'll talk about that. But to do, and me, Joe Hadid, welcome, Joe, Meet Show. I see a bunch of people tuned in right now. Thank you for joining the show. We are a little bit late and behind, so we have a lot to catch up on. Don't forget, 11:15, your free picks of the day. And that does not include Eagles-Jags. As my man Joey Hadid's commenting saying, does that include Eagles-Jags? Is that your free pick? That does not. I am not, and I think if you guys have noticed on the show, I'm steering clear from the Philadelphia Eagles betting-wise or gambling-wise. I am not taking the Eagles or going against them right now. They'll figure it out or they won't. So I don't want to go with them or against them. And it's a desperate team right now, so I probably won't pick that game, to be honest with you. But the division's weak. Like Misho just said, the Eagles will win that weak division. That's the conversation of the Philadelphia Eagles right now. It's saying, yeah, they're 3-4, but the division's so bad with the Giants being 1-6. The Cowboys, they took that loss to Washington last week. You saw that game with Dallas and Washington, right? You knew that neither of those teams were any sort of championship contender. So you're just waiting for the Eagles to let it click for 4 quarters. The defense blew it in the 4th last week. So, I would think the Eagles would rise to the top. I would think that the Eagles would win this division. But it's hard when you're not winning your own games. I mean, your division might be pretty shitty, but you're 3-4. So it starts tomorrow for the Eagles against the Jaguars, who, whether it's Blake Bortles or Cody Kessler, there's no excuse for the Philadelphia Eagles tomorrow to win this game. So your Eagles comments, of course, the forum is open. There are plenty of ways to reach the show across the board. Sports Talk Show here on the chat room. Open up the Mixler app, mixlr.com/Joe-Eunice. You can talk to me throughout the show there. Also on Twitter, at Joe Eunice. That's JoeYounes 15 on Twitter, and on Facebook Live. We are live and going viral on many platforms right now with Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and on the Mixler app. Of course, you could reach me any way you could do it. Pick segments at 11:15. We're going to talk a little World Series because that's where I let off with this. I needed someone to talk to last night. I'm watching this game. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. Nobody nobody's around. I mean, I'm sitting there thinking, I can't. There's no way you could sleep not knowing what the outcome is of this game three. Whether it's the Red Sox going up 3-0 or the Dodgers, cutting it to 2-1. Whether you're a fan of baseball or not, it's the World Series, and I feel like people across America, people everywhere should be tuning into this. And we saw a pitcher in Walker Buehler pitch an absolute gem last night, and it was wasted. It was spoiled by the Jackie Bradley Jr. home run. Then the Red Sox take the lead 2-1, and you're thinking 2 outs. Dodgers are down to 2 outs. Guy on second after an errant throw. You're thinking this series is done, and I didn't. I thought the Dodgers could somehow pull out Game 3, which they did. I think tonight. Free pick or not, I think they put a beating on the Boston Red Sox because look what happened to the pitching. They used Eovaldi, who was supposed to start tonight. Now Eovaldi's not starting. It opens up a whole can of worms for the Red Sox. I think now not only was that game the turning factor for them to get back in the series, I think that turns this whole series around. I think the Dodgers are now have the inside track to take Boston out today and tomorrow. So baseball fans, if you're listening, I see Billy, Joseph, Brandon, Tony, guys, all tuning in now at 11 o'clock. This is Across the Board Sports Talk Show. Did you watch the game? Did you stay up to 3:30? I was up. I was Facebooking. I saw a couple people liking the comments, so I knew people were also watching. I could not turn that off. There was no way in hell. I was drinking water. I was washing my face. I don't really sleep that much anyways, but about 2, 3 o'clock to about 6 or 7, that's usually my nap time. And it wasn't happening. No way. I wasn't leaving that game not knowing what the outcome was for a World Series Game 3, but I'm going to go out on a statement. I'm all on the Dodgers, guys. I picked the Dodgers from the beginning of the playoffs. Still going to ride them out. I think tonight that crowd gets juiced up even more after going 18 innings, and I think the Dodgers now have a complete advantage. The pitching is huge in baseball. We all know that about baseball. So what happened last night was phenomenal to see in sports. And again, I say, not even on a baseball platform, but it takes your breath away. It takes your breath away. Every pitch, every swing, every throw out, every error. It doesn't matter. That's what makes this sport better and more, needed to watch for an original, like an average sports fan should watch this. It's not as boring as it is in a regular season. This is the World Series. A couple of comments from Joey D. I stayed up until 4 o'clock watching that Game 3. It was definitely history in the making in exposing that Red Sox bullpen. Definitely it's the longest game in World Series history. One of the best games I've seen personally watching that until 3:30. My man Tony Nassar says, I stayed up watching game on vacation in Mexico. The broadcast in Spanish is boy, oh boy, do they make baseball 10 times more exciting. Tony, I watch soccer in Spanish because Spanish announcers are full of life. And I said about Joe Buck. Joe Buck is a needed voice in the World Series. His voice matches with the World Series. When you hear Joe Buck, you think World Series, you think NFL on Fox. He's got that voice, and that's what it's all about. So for me, Game 3 was awesome. It was a classic game to watch. I know there are a lot of Red Sox fans that I know personally that are now a little bit shaken because you have to be with that pitching, the way it was exposed. You use Nathan Eovaldi. Now, all of a sudden tonight, it looks like the Dodgers should be the favorite, and I think we get a 2-2 series going into tomorrow. And then Game 5 would be pivotal. We'll see how that spins tomorrow. All right, this is Across the Board Sports Talk Show. It is a Saturday morning, October 27th. A lot to talk about. The World Series being the biggest thing on the table right now. Eagles-Jaguars, right? The game in London tomorrow is a 9:30 start. We're going to be on air at 10:30, so I cannot discuss it, preview it. We'll talk about the game as it happens. This game, bigger for the Eagles or the Jags? Simple question. This is a huge game for the Eagles. You cannot slip to 3-5. As a Super Bowl defending champion in that division. You need to turn this season around. You lose a game like that to Carolina last week in the fourth quarter. It was a complete blunder by the Philadelphia Eagles defense to give up those kind of points late in the game to a struggling Carolina offense for 3 quarters. They came out. They took advantage of the Eagles just letting them gash them for yards and touchdowns. They were just cutting through them, and they ended up getting that lead 21-17, and they ended up winning that game. So how big is this game tomorrow in London for the Eagles? I think, for most people, you would tune in and you would sit there and think, okay, this should be a blowout. This should be a dominant performance. I mean, the Jaguars can't get out of their own way. Houston just beat them last week pretty badly in Jacksonville. But the Eagles haven't shown much either. I mean, other than the Giants game, and Joe, we talked about that when they beat the Giants. That was the topic last week. It was do it against somebody important. Do it against somebody that's a contender. Do it against a better quality team. They did it against Carolina for 3 quarters. They shut out the Panthers for 3 quarters, and then it blew up in their face. So we want to see the Eagles if they're going to try to get back on track. And I see, some comments. Misho, they have the best quarterback in the division, and that to me is enough. They do. Comparing quarterbacks, it's not even close. I would rank it simply Carson Wentz, Alex Smith, Dak Prescott, and then right now Eli Manning. Of course, what's going on in New York. But you look at the Eagles. You can't go to London and lose this game. You cannot go to 3-5. I think all you Eagles fans out there, you know it. I'm not stating anything other than the obvious tomorrow. But this Jacksonville team has looked putrid in a lot of areas. They look bad against Kansas City. They look bad against Houston. They looked horrible against the Cowboys the last few weeks. They're only a 3-point underdog. It makes you wonder what kind of game we're going to see. I think we'll see a very close game, but I do believe the Eagles need it and should get the victory tomorrow, as most people do. All right, this show is brought to you by Red Jewelers, fine company up there in Allentown, PA, 5248 Hamilton Boulevard, 704 West Emmaus Ave in Allentown, PA. Call up Red to buy, sell, customize, repair your jewelry. Christmas is literally, less than 2 months away? I can't believe Thanksgiving's like 3-4 weeks away, Joe. That's unbelievable. Thanksgiving's around the corner, then Christmas. So definitely you could check out Red Jewelers for any of your gifts for your family members or anybody out there who you want to buy a gift for. Law offices, Albert Yakub. Of course, a lot of mischief activity going on yesterday, right? The trick-or-treaters. I saw a couple stories, Joe, locally, egging people's homes. I know that's kind of a tradition for most people. People were egging homes and communities and doing some bad activities. If you want to file a lawsuit, go after somebody, check out the law offices, Albert Yakub, 610-437-2185. Visit Yakub Law, YACOUBLAW.com. Free consultation, nothing to lose. Of course, Biagio Pizzeria Restaurant. Yes, of course, 1526 North Cedar Crest Boulevard. And a day like this today, with the rain and the bad weather, and there's a lot of football that we're going to talk to in the college football schedule. Definitely check out Biagio for some from takeout. Go eat in some fine pastas, pizza, wings. The greatest food you're going to find Italian-wise in this area, hands down. I would fully recommend you going to Biagio Pizzeria for me the best cheesesteak you're going to find in Allentown. That to me is the best cheesesteak, and I'm a Philly guy, so that's saying a lot that you know how much I love their cheesesteak. The cut above the rest, which will be there on Thanksgiving, hopefully a little bit before that. If the weather, wasn't acting up today, we would have been there today outside at the cut. Maybe next week if the weather's a little bit nicer than the rain. Of course, your Lehigh Valley Realtor Eli Boutros, another sponsor of the show. Check him out at elib8@yahoo.com if you're looking to buy or sell a home or invest in a property. Tony says, bigger game for Jacksonville, Joey. Houston is running away with that division. NFC East is wide open. Well, here's the thing. I mean, and that's why I wanted to ask who's the bigger game for. Because if you still believe in the Jaguars, you would obviously think the Jaguars can try to catch up to Houston. Indianapolis isn't going to do much. You look at the Tennessee Titans last week. They had a very gutsy 2-point conversion call. The Titans are very inconsistent. The team that has beaten the Eagles, a team that had lost to the Chargers by one. Arguably, they played a better second half against the Chargers, and the Chargers ended up pulling it out. I like the bold call by Vrabel. I thought going for 2 was great. Tennessee is an inconsistent team. We're not sure what to expect from a team like Tennessee. So, for me, it's a big game for Jacksonville, but you can't be a defending Super Bowl champ, Joe. Right? And I want to get your thoughts on this too, because we talked about the Eagles last week and you didn't really believe in that win against the Giants because you're a Giants fan. Yeah. So you look at it, you say, beat somebody good. I mean, you're a Super Bowl defending champ. You come out against Carolina, you dominate them for 3 quarters, and then you blow the game. So maybe this team's just not that good. It's hard to repeat a Super Bowl run. We know that, but what's wrong with the Philadelphia Eagles? I mean, that's been a topic of discussion. What's wrong?
Do you know, honestly, is it the
Super Bowl hangover? That's what people are saying now. Super Bowl hangover?
Is it the Super Bowl hangover? Mm-hmm. Is it the, are they not sticking to the original plan that they had when they first got to the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Did they lose key players?
Well, they have been. So the thing with with this team too, it's like you look at some of the injuries. You look at their battling. They're trying to get healthy. At the receiver position, the running back position is really costly. That's been a really thorn. It's a thorn in the side. It is. This not having a running game in the NFL, we all can agree on that. That's hard to do. I mean, you got to establish a run game. Look at Saquon Barkley in New York. The reason why they're even in games is because of him. And you look at Todd Gurley in LA. I know that offense is pretty damn good with or without Todd Gurley, but I mean, you pose a good question. Are they not doing what they did when they won the Super Bowl? No, they're not as hungry. The defense played well for 3 quarters, not the whole fourth quarters. The 4 quarters of the game, they have won games last year by whether it was Wentz on some games, whether it was Foles in the playoffs, whether it was the defense. And this year, they just can't get it all on one page.
Well, let's just analyze. Who's not there right now that was there last year?
Well, they don't have. So the running game's big. Jay Ajayi's hurt. That's a big problem. The receiving core's been banged up. They're missing a lot of receivers. Okay, but they don't have it. That's the problem. The offense can't score. I mean, Carson Wentz is still getting over that injury. He's looked better as week to week. So this game tomorrow, and Tony, I respectively disagree. It's bigger for the Eagles tomorrow in Jackson. I mean, Jacksonville. They need to win, and that's a good point by Micho. They lost that underdog mentality, and maybe if you go 3-5 and you have to come back and rally, that's a huge underdog. But they got that Super Bowl championship, and it could be a hangover. It absolutely could be a hangover.
You know what? It used to be team. Now it's me. And I feel that, yeah, you have to go out there and get the best talent you can for your team, whether you're the Eagles, the Titans,
absolutely. You want to make your team better. Yeah.
You're shopping around, doesn't matter what state, what country it comes from. If this is the man that's going to take you to where you need to be, you're going to recruit that person.
Absolutely.
And I think it got away from join our team and be part of something big to you're going to make the difference. Yeah. So when you don't have a team that's gelling together as a team and you have too many individuals and too many stars, which everybody in their own right's a star. Some people can't catch like this person. Some people can't run the ball like that person. But they get into their heads where I'm the star of the team. Yeah. Instead of I'm one of the key players of the team, but we are a team.
Well, you look at the Patriots, right? The Patriots are an epitome of a team. Yeah, they got Tom Brady, but it is a team collaboration every year for the Patriots to be successful. I don't know. See, the Eagles with me is right now that Carson Wentz is that guy, right? Carson Wentz is that superstar. They needed Carson Wentz. I think the whole time going into this offseason, it was whether or not Carson Wentz was going to be healthy. He was the main discussion point, right? What's happening with Carson Wentz? What's happening? So everybody kind of lost sight of what's happening with the running game, what's happening with the receiving core, what's happening with the defensive side of the ball. And people lost that, right? They lost that focus on what the Philadelphia Eagles were actually doing in the offseason. And the run game right now, the talks of getting a trade. Look, Carlos Hyde was traded, and you know what? The trade that was given was nothing. A couple third-round pick or whatever it was. So you want to say, were the Eagles involved in that conversation? Nobody knows. They needed to make a change, and the Philadelphia Eagles didn't, and that's kind of why they're looking at a run game that's struggling. Joey says it's a bigger game for the Eagles because they have yet to face the Rams and the Saints on their schedule. The Rams are 7-0, and the Saints are 5-0. Yes, it is I personally think it's a bigger game. I'm not
teams right there.
Huge. No, they're facing off too in a couple weeks, but the Rams and Saints. The Saints are hot right now, and so are the Rams. But the Saints now, after losing game 1, they look like the Saints I talked about when we started the show. They're my Super Bowl prediction. Pittsburgh and New Orleans, which I'm still sticking by, even though Pittsburgh now getting whether or not they're going to get back on track with Le'Veon Bell. I think they need to trade him, but that's another discussion we'll get into tomorrow. I see some listeners coming in. My man James, big Red Sox fan. James is listening. Jennifer, well, hello. Jacinta, Aziza, thank you very much for everybody tuning in. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Of course, what this is an interactive sports show. I always got to say this because when I see new names tuned in, I always want to say, well, what the hell is this guy doing? Because I've done that. Like yesterday, we'll get to what happened yesterday with one of my sponsors. Mazda threw a huge party yesterday at the Palace up in Allentown. And James is giving me the sad face because I know exactly why. And we're going to talk about that in a second. And I was going to text James last night. That's the thing. I don't know who's awake at 3:30 in the morning. Like I'm looking at anybody, Joe. I was like a madman in an insane asylum. I'm like, someone talk to me about what I'm watching in Game 3 of the World Series. And it was just an unbelievable game. I know James was watching, diehard Red Sox fan, probably the biggest Red Sox fan I know. And we'll get back into the World Series because what we saw last night was huge for sports. And what's huge for the series because I think, James, those 3 sad faces can turn. One of them is losing Game 3, and the other 2 is understanding this series just changed on a dime. It flipped. We'll talk about that in a second. He goes, I was up. I figured. We'll talk about that coming up in a second. Meza yesterday threw a huge party at the Palace Center. They had big singer, George Rassouf's in town. If you're a Middle Eastern fan or you know anything about the music, it was a huge party yesterday. I was up on watching the World Series, and then, when you open Facebook, the bar tells you who's live and what's going on.
Yeah.
Well, I was clicking in watching the party at the Palace Center during commercial breaks. I'm thinking, I look at it as a person that's just signing on Facebook. You're like, what is this guy doing on Facebook Live? You don't even know. I've been curious before, where I see somebody on Facebook, what the hell are they streaming? Whether it's a concert or someone making dinner. I've seen people chop up their food and they're on Facebook Live. This is a reoccurring show every Saturday and Sunday from 10:30 to noon. I'm seeing Simon Talal. I know it was crazy. Misha says I was there. I'm sure it was a phenomenal time, Misha. And the music was excellent to see a legend like that in any kind of platform. Music, movies, sports, right? If you get a chance to see a legend, it's awesome. Like when we went to see Metallica, those were legends right there. It was a great time in May. So I look at it and I say, for me, when you see somebody on live, you're wondering what they're doing. I always got to reset. And that's why people have questioned, why do you keep saying this is across the board sports talk show? Well, I have to keep telling you so you know what the hell's going on, because someone might click it and say, what is Joe Eunice doing right now? It's across the board sports talk show. You can reach us at Joe Eunice15 on Twitter, on Facebook, on YouTube Live, and of course on my Mixler app, which is just audio only. If you're sick of looking at my ugly face, you can go on Mixler, mixlr.com/Joe-Eunice, and you can just listen to my voice and not see my face. All right, James says, I still think it's the Red Sox in 5. So he thinks the Red Sox will win today and then tomorrow. James, if you were a betting man, I would offer you a steak dinner or some sort of, I'll take Taco Bell as a bet that I think tonight the Dodgers win. And I also think the Dodgers win tomorrow. And the reason why I say that is because the game affected the Red Sox more pitching wise than it did the Dodgers. It's the obvious, right? They exhausted out Nathan Eovaldi. I mean, they're going to throw out Rodriguez today is what I'm thinking. I didn't get to check exactly who's pitching, which I should have checked before I came on. I see the Dodgers are a -160, hefty favorite again in a Game 4 spot. I think they can catch Boston in a tough spot. The chips are kind of pushed in the middle now with the Red Sox, and it's hard to recap and rebound from that. It is. Let's see who's pitching tonight. I don't think it's out.
What you're saying is
they have not. No starter yet.
Huh? The Dodgers today.
I am saying that it is one of my free picks. Yes.
Oh.
So we're gonna lead into the GodfatherLocks.com. Free pick segment. There are no pitchers right now announced for this game tonight. So you're a Boston Red Sox team and you pitched out everybody in your bullpen yesterday. At one point Fox threw up a chart where it was a red line through all their pitchers' names of who they used because they exhausted everybody. And then what I saw coming into it was Nathan Eovaldi was supposed to pitch Game 4 tonight. They used them. They used them for 5-6 innings. He ended up giving up the home run to Max Muncy, and the Dodgers win the game and walk off. Now, who pitches tonight? So if it's going to be Rodriguez versus Rich Hill, I go Rich Hill, I go Dodgers, and we're going to be 2-2 tonight. So I do think the Dodgers tonight. I think they win it in impressive fashion. I think the Dodgers bats finally get hotter. I think the Dodgers respond. I'm telling you, man, that walk-off home run set shockwaves. If you're not a baseball fan, this is the World Series, all right? It's like talking to a hockey fan who refuses to watch an NBA Finals Game 7. Never understood it. Never understood it. There are hockey fans that don't watch basketball. There are basketball fans that don't watch hockey because the physicality of the sport changes, right? In basketball, if you do this, it's a foul. All right? In hockey, you could check somebody through a glass, Joe, and you could get a penalty, you may not, but you can't not watch a World Series. You cannot watch. How are you not watching the World Series? That was another. I'm thinking to myself, 3:30 in the morning. I'm by myself. And I was ready to text my brother because I knew he's probably watching. He was up late. His work industry is always up late. I'm trying to think somebody to talk to. I'm like, I just start putting it on Facebook. Anybody that could talk to me on Facebook. So I see a couple people tuned in. Felix, Scott, Eddie, my man Ray Rabi. Of course, Ray definitely was watching World Series Game 3. And if Ray can comment, that'll be awesome. Who was watching last night? And also for me in the World Series, it's how don't you watch? How don't you watch baseball? People say it's boring. We talked about that when we discussed Game 7 and saying how people always downplay baseball games. They say, I can't sit through a 9-inning game. When you have a championship on the line like that, it's a pitch by pitch, man. It's pitch by pitch. It's swing by swing. It's backs against the wall. It's LA versus Boston. I don't know. Maybe I'm a crazy sports fan, as people always say, you watch everything. But it's game 3. If they lose that game, the series is done. You go down 0-3, the series is done. There's no way you can argue that. The Dodgers weren't coming down from 0-3. That means they'd have to win 4 in a row. Wasn't going to happen.
Only game I'm staying up for till 3:30 in the morning is the Brazilian volleyball team.
Be careful, Laura's listening there. Yeah, they're listening.
Other than that, I'm watching movies.
No, well, I mean, again, the people listening to the show might be with you because I don't think everybody listening to the show is like a crazed sports fan. I got Jeff commenting, so I fell asleep at 1:30. I can't believe I missed that walk-off. It's hard. People were falling asleep. Joe Buck even said it. He's like, all across the East Coast, it's past 3:30 in the morning. Dude, it was 3:35. I turned my TV off. 3:35 in the morning. Was up again at 6, 7 o'clock at 6:30 in the morning. So I knew what I was investing my time in, Joe. You got to watch it to see what the hell happens. I mean, I'm from the nature of I'm not going to sleep not knowing if the Boston Red Sox are up 3-0 or the Dodgers are now cut it to 2-1. Like, this just made my weekend. This didn't just make it. Now we have a game tonight, which is huge. It's magnified even more. If the Red Sox win last night, it would have been a sweep. It would have been a sweep. No team has ever come back from 0-3 down in the World Series. Never been done. Never been done. There's been sweeps. It hasn't even reached Game 6. I think it was like a couple times it's reached Game 6. So
let's ask James
huge
what
game.
He thinks.
Well, James, I don't know if he went dark, but James, big Red Sox fan. And again, you talk about a Boston. He's probably one of the few Red Sox fans I know, but very passionate, all about the Red Sox. I think he was watching games when they were trying to get to 100 wins in the summer, when everybody was gearing up for the NFL or during the World Cup. He was tracking them all year long. That's his squad, day to day with the Red Sox team. But I thought for sure the Dodgers exhausting the Red Sox pitching is what's going to turn this series around. So if you want to comment on the World Series, were you watching last night, 3:30 in the morning? I was. All right, I was looking for someone to talk to. I put out a comment on Facebook for my across-the-board sports talk show fans and listeners that I thought that was there with every pressure and all the drama that pitch by pitch you see in a World Series game is unmatched. There's no other sporting event other than March Madness, right? When you talk about March Madness, when college kids are putting their heart on the line and their season is on the line and they may have to be sent home if it's a buzzer beater or the last minute of a college basketball game, those pressure moments are huge. There are no bigger pressure moments than a World Series elimination game or backs against the wall type game. Every pitch, every swing. So I understand Misha earlier saying, don't talk baseball. I'm not a fan. It's not even being a fan of baseball. It's being a fan of sports. The drama of sports. Isn't that why we watch? Aren't you entertained? Like, why do you watch sports? Because there's people who bet on it. There's people who play fantasy. There's people who have that one single team they watch. And it's probably NFL because the NFL is what the ratings go to. But, I mean, don't you want to be entertained? Isn't that our end game? To me, that's why I watch it, because I want to be entertained, right? It takes you away from life. It disconnects you from the stresses of life. That's why I watch sports. I'm entertained. And I enjoy competition. So for me, I don't know how you can't get juiced up that game went to 3:30. There were people ripping it, Joe, saying baseball games are too long. 18 innings? They played 2 full baseball games yesterday. Nearly 2 full baseball games yesterday. And I thought it was phenomenal. I wanted 20 innings. I'll be honest with you. I wanted it to go to 4 a.m. James says, that's why I love Alex Cora. He plays to win each and every game. He'll worry about today's pitcher and today's game now and tomorrow's game tomorrow. 100% agree. And that's a fact. They were even saying that yesterday. Just get through today. They wouldn't care. And I know John Smoltz was saying it yesterday. They wouldn't have cared. If they would have won yesterday, they would have threw out a AAA pitcher tonight in game 4. It didn't matter at that point. You would have 4 chances to close it out. That's a whole different story. And I'm with you. It's an aggressive approach, right? Let's win today. I don't like to you don't leave anything hanging in the balance where you have a potential chance to lose a game, right? You want to try to go after it. Stay aggressive. You see that in soccer a lot where teams are drawing and then all of a sudden you're like, well, which team is going to get aggressive? Which team is going to go for it? It should be every team. It should be every team going for a win. So I love Alex Cora. I think he's one of the best managers in baseball. He's perfect for that team. But now we have drama, right? We all could agree we have drama. And my whole goal right now is, if you're not into baseball and if you don't care about baseball, I'm trying to at least get you guys to watch tonight. I know there's a lot of college football going on tonight. We have barely talked college football. We'll get into the top 5 games of the day in a minute. We'll get to the pick segment, which I know we're 10 minutes late. College football. 8 straight winning Saturdays in college football, Joe. Dominating performance. And we'll get some stats going here in a second. We'll get to the GodfatherLocks.com pick segment, which I know a lot of people tune in for. We are rolling right now. A lot on the table. We're talking Red Sox, Dodgers, what we saw last night in Game 3, an epic phenomenal. And I don't like using that word that much. I think it's overused. It's jumped the shark. But it was an epic performance last night from the Dodgers to pull off that win. Gutsy by both teams. 18 full innings, basically, until Max Muncy hit that walk-off home run. So that's on the table. How exciting is this World Series now because of this turn of events with the pitchers and everything that the Red Sox now have to battle through with this series and who they're going to throw out. So Red Sox, Dodgers, that's on the table. We're talking Eagles, Jaguars. The bigger game for which team? Is it the Eagles? Is it the Jaguars? I think tomorrow it's hands on the Eagles. You cannot go 3-5. I don't care who you're bullshitting and who you're talking to. If the Eagles go 3-5, your division might be as shitty as shit can be. You're not happy with that performance. You need to win that game tomorrow. It is bigger for the Philadelphia Eagles. I think the Jaguars need to find a quarterback. I think the expectations have been tempered with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Seems like the highlight of the year was avenging that loss to New England and beating them in Jacksonville a few weeks back, a couple weeks into the season. That's it. The Jaguars haven't done much. So I know Tony earlier said that this game is bigger for Jacksonville. I disagree. It's a bigger game for the Philadelphia Eagles. That's on the table. We're going to be on live tomorrow at 10:30, as we are every Saturday and Sunday on Across the Board Sports Talk Show. The game in London starts at 9:30. So we want to talk Eagles, Jags. The game is bigger for whom? I say the Eagles. I say the defense specifically needs to have a coming out party. When Carson Wentz was expected to grab a game by its head and take over, it was against the New York Giants. And he did that on Thursday, the Thursday night game, almost 2 weeks ago. They did it. So for me, it's a chance for the defense for the Philadelphia Eagles to dominate the Jacksonville Jaguars quarterbacks who have been struggling and kind of get some pick sixes, some interceptions, some fumbles, and take control of that game. That's on the table. Top 5 college games coming up here at 11:30. We'll talk about the top 5 games, including a big one down in Jacksonville. Speaking of Jacksonville, one of my favorite games of the year, Georgia versus Florida. We'll talk about that coming up in a couple of minutes. All right, the pick segment that everybody's been asking for and looking for, right? Everybody tries to get in. And before I get there, James says, but this is what the Dodgers are waiting for and what they needed. They needed this Alex Cora rover strategy to backfire. I completely agree, James. I think the Dodgers not only made it 2-1 last night, I think now they took advantage of the series. It evens the playing field. If at the minimum, it evens the playing field. I think the Dodgers now can clearly take advantage of this series. The exhaustion of those pitchers, it goes a long way, man. I'm not trying to make excuses, but Joe, in baseball, you can't exhaust your pitchers like that and throw them out there. David Price coming out yesterday was a surprise, right? He came out and that couple of innings right there was a shocker to see him come out. What are you going to do? Throw out Chris Sale tomorrow? Go ahead, throw out Chris Sale. We'll see what I think the Dodgers win tonight, and I think the Dodgers win tomorrow. So we're going to have a 3-2 lead by LA going back to Boston. That's how I see this happening. We'll find out. One of my free picks is the Dodgers tonight. I don't care who's pitching. Honestly, I don't care who's pitching. I would take the Dodgers tonight. And I would do it with all the confidence in the world. That's my first official free pick on the site. Again, I have them for the World Series, Joe. I cannot not take them, right? I know you asked if it was a free pick, but I still think the Dodgers are winning the World Series. So if they're going to win the World Series, they got to win tonight. It's a big game for them tonight. They can't go down 3-1 just as bad as they couldn't go down 3-0. All right, free pick segment. 2 free picks of the day. And we're going to start at noon. And we're going to go to Northwestern versus Wisconsin. You've got a Wisconsin team who took a bad loss 2 weeks ago to Michigan, who now Michigan, talked about them last week, contender, right? They're on a crash course with Ohio State, even though Ohio State took that bad loss to Purdue last week. I love Northwestern today. 3.5. The line is very, very thin. Northwestern struggled on the road against Rutgers. Wisconsin on the road here in this spot. It's going to be a defensive style game, I would think, even though the over-under is around 51. I like Northwestern. I think they play better at home. I think this is a bit. Remember, Northwestern a few weeks ago, let's look at their schedule. When they played at home against Nebraska, they were down for pretty much the whole game. They came back and won that game, I believe, in overtime. They played at Michigan State, got a big win. They played at Rutgers, got a big win. They've won 3 in a row. This Northwestern team that lost to Michigan on their home field by just 3. Remember what I'm saying right there. This is one of those things where it's like, you beat this team, you don't beat this team, whatever. The point is you lost to Michigan by just 3 at home. That's the best team that has played Michigan thus far, outside of Michigan State last week for what, 3 quarters, and then Michigan State just couldn't hang with them defensively anymore, and they gave up those touchdowns. I look at Northwestern today as your first free pick of the day, plus 3.5. Okay, I don't think Wisconsin's all that good. I'm not a big fan of their quarterback Hornibrook. Yeah, they gave up 20 points to an Illinois team. They dropped 49. They gave up 20 against a very sad Illinois squad last week. So for me, I look at Northwestern starting in 30 minutes. Literally 30 minutes is your first free pick of the day. I will take the Northwestern Wildcats at home, and I will catch the 3.5 points. My second free pick of the day is Stanford. And the reason why I'm taking Stanford is because Washington State, this is another spot right now where Washington State's ranked 14th. Everybody's giving them love. I had them last week against Oregon. It was a big win for them at home. Now they're 6-1 and they're on the map, right? Everybody's talking about Washington State in the Pac-12. They're getting this the love of the pollsters now. But remember what Stanford is. Stanford all of a sudden now playing better. They play better with Bryce Love. That loss that Stanford had a few weeks back was when Bryce Love wasn't around. They pulled out a gutsy win against Oregon, even though Oregon blew it. They should have just kneed the ball and won the game. That was a blunder. But you look at Stanford. Stanford's got that mojo. I'll take Stanford -3. So your two free picks of the show are Northwestern plus 3.5 and Stanford -3. Those are your GodfatherLocks.com free picks. And the Dodgers. There you go, Joe. Dodgers, Stanford, Northwestern. Free picks.
There you go.
Head to Jersey. Cross the bridge.
3.
That's your 3. And we'll go 3-0. Every Saturday we just kind of sweep the board. Nobody says thank you or anything like that. But I'm kidding. If you're willing to invest, now you can drive over the bridge, go to New Jersey, download one of your apps, and do it legally. Because if you try doing it illegally, you'll get caught. There's like this message now that's going around. If you try to sign on to DraftKings or William Hill or FanDuel, they're gonna tell you got to be in Jersey. You don't get put on a list where they're watching you where your locations are. I know a lot of people are already thinking that people do that. They found that bomber, that pipe bomb situation. That was a crazy story this week with that pipe bomber down in Florida. I think they found him because of his cell phone. Isn't that what it was, Joe? I don't know if that story came down. That's what it was. But apparently that guy kind of got tipped on. And that was what's amazing, too, about this whole thing, totally off the subject. And we're going to get into this Halloween trick-or-treat rant that I was on yesterday because I want to get people's thoughts on it, too. We don't just talk sports here. We'll talk about that, what we saw yesterday on trick-or-treating. I found something very ridiculous. That's just a note. You don't do it. You don't do it. We'll talk about it in a couple minutes. But this thing with that pipe bomb, I mean, it amazes you how intelligent the FBI is or how crazy society is that they found this guy. And like, he could be anywhere in America, right? Like, I know they did the saliva and the DNA of the postage stamp, but this guy could have been in like Montana in a cave or something. I mean, I don't even know if Montana has caves, but you know what I mean? He could be in a mountain laying down naked in a freaking mountain. And how are you going to catch the guy? How do they know where these people are? That's the crazy thing about it.
Listen, man.
Makes you wonder. And I don't want to put this on Facebook because they're going to tap into me and say, what the hell is this guy questioning the FBI? It's amazing how they found this guy quickly.
It don't matter if you're just a simple person doing a cooking show or just surfing the net for whatever.
Yeah.
They know.
They have to know.
And as much as people complain, and I've gotten to many arguments and discussions with family members and friends and people who are just acquaintances or nothing over it. Everybody talks about, oh, we don't want the government to pass this because they'll check our emails,
privacy laws,
and all that BS, and oh, they're thinking of chipping us. That's illegal. Mm-hmm. People don't realize you chipped yourself already willingly and have no clue.
Bro, you'll be sitting down on your tablet or your phone. You'll be talking about a vacation that you and your family want to go to. Like my birthday's coming up in a couple of weeks, and we're gonna. Another idea that hit me is that we got to do the show somehow. So I might be doing a show from the rooftop at the Borgata in 30-degree weather. We'll talk about that in the next couple of weeks. But I look at it, it's like I'm talking to my wife about going to Atlantic City, or I talk about her to book a flight to go to wherever, across the country, wherever I want to go. And then you're just having a discussion. Then you go on your phone, and the first thing that pops up is an ad for an airline or Atlantic City. And it's like, there's got to be something going on here that's allowing it to happen.
You got Siri, Google,
of course,
Google Assistant.
Of course.
What's the new one? Alexa.
Alexa, yeah, Alexa's listening to you all the time.
The damn cell phone that you carry around, you chipped yourself.
Siri's all about
all that.
Siri's all about.
That's what I'm saying. Everybody's, they don't want us to track us. They track you every day by yourself.
Absolutely.
Some companies give you a company phone, so you're being tracked twice.
Yeah, that's just how it works.
If you need to handle business, do it in person.
Yeah, exactly. Talk to somebody other than going on
the phone completely.
Yeah, but what I say is like, don't like if you're gonna take these picks and go and gamble with it, just go to New Jersey and do it safely. That's what I look at.
Just go right over the bridge.
Over the bridge, Phillipsburg. Yeah, right Phillipsburg.
I think there's a little what's that? There's a little gas station with
Sunoco. Well, there's that like Key something.
Train station.
Key Street, Key City.
Yeah, there's a little restaurant right there. Just go right there, pull in there.
Make your bets.
Smoke your cigarette, grab a hot dog, make your bet, and cross right back.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. I kind of suggest for people to do that because I got into a discussion yesterday saying we'll just bet on DraftKings. But no, I mean you have to go to Jersey to do it. You got to go to Jersey. So there's gonna come a time where sports gambling. I know I did a show about this on Across the Board Sports Talk.
They track you by your IP address.
Yeah, they'll know what you're trying to do. Now look, sports gambling.
Like two IT guys like we do that can
just do it. Yeah, trace your phone. But
I won't say your name.
I think a couple of them are listening. But you look at it, for me, it's like this has got to be solved, right? If you want to bet the Dodgers tonight, you don't have to. This shouldn't be the case. I mean, with everything going on in society and everything else that's legal, I mean, if I'm going to walk into a supermarket now and buy beer, yesterday I was trying to buy some steaks, right? And I'm going to a Weiss Market, and they have a beer and winery section, which I know now has been very popular. But if you're going to allow me to booze while I'm at the store, allow me to gamble on a game. That's how I look at it. I mean, it's harming me physically, right? I mean, alcohol, drugs, they put you in a state of mind. Let me go and gamble on a sport. You're gonna let me buy a Mega Millions ticket on Saturday or Friday, whatever it was?
I got an idea.
Let me do that.
All right, Liquor Control Board officers, I know you guys are listening. Same machines that you go and you buy lottery tickets from, right?
Yeah, you should be able to bet on sports.
Set one up just for that. Go in, you get your beer, you get your bread, eggs, milk, because there's a storm coming. That's what people buy.
Yeah.
Get your lottery ticket, and then go right over and put $20 on who you want. It's
Thank you very much.
It's legal, it's authorized.
Yep. That's exactly what I think it should get to. I've been saying this for years, and now that it's legalized in Jersey, I know Parks Casino. We broke that news a couple weeks ago. Parks Casino now in Atlantic City, in Philadelphia, right outside of Philadelphia, in Ben Salem. They put their name in the hat for it. I know Sugar House did. I heard that Penn National, which is the Hollywood casino out in Harrisburg, they want to do it. So it's boosting revenue. I mean, just go ask Jersey what it did to their revenue since they launched it in the World Cup.
You know what it is? It's always illegal until the government can figure out
how to get
a cut of it. Well, once they get a cut of it, then you're legit.
Yeah. Like the marijuana situation.
Yeah. Get on it.
Exactly.
What's Colorado?
Colorado, yeah.
They have no debt now?
Of course not, because people are buying. Because you're not buying it from your buddy Nunzio now on the street. You're buying it from the store.
I would check to see what mechanic I would take my car to.
Yeah.
Before I let someone work on my car.
Yeah, absolutely. You want to find out what you're working with first.
You're not working on my car messed up.
Exactly. Joey Hadid says, hey, cuz, any updates on the Godfather lock shirts? Of course, we are working on it. It's a work in progress. This show, we are there's a lot of things going on with the show. We're trying to book live shows, but we're talking
for the best prices.
Yeah, we're trying to find the best price for everybody, because this is the shirt he's talking about. So last week I mentioned it. If you're interested in a shirt, now the next shirt is not going to just be this. We're actually working with my man Ray. We talked to Ray. Ray was tuned in earlier. He's putting out a quote for me, and one of their fine employees named Lauren, who's a great person. She's working on it. Look, Across the Board logo and Godfather Locks logo. We're trying to mix it and mash it where we could put it on both shirts. So if you're interested in a shirt and you don't have one, just again contact me. Whether it's on the Facebook app, on email, on YouTube. There are a lot of ways to find me. I'm not hard to find. Just send a message. Say you want a shirt. We'll put your name down, and as soon as we get the shirts in, we'll get you a shirt. How about that? That's fair. We'll give away. It is free. We're gonna hand them out to people. So we're trying to get the best price, as Joe said. This is we want you. How about this? Like, share, subscribe. Right? LSS. Do me a favor. Like, share, subscribe on Facebook and on YouTube Live. Just go to YouTube Live, type in Across the Board Sports Talk Show, and subscribe. Because now, if you start to subscribe, those people that are opening up those Kinder eggs that I've ripped and opening up their little Tykes bike with they're getting paid to be on YouTube. Let's get this show on YouTube and start to like, share, and subscribe on the YouTube page, and then we'll be able to get those shirts to you pretty quickly. How about that? I think that's fair. right? We're finding the best price out there. So, again, your 2 free picks to wrap up the GodfatherLocks.com free pick segment: Northwestern plus 3.5 and Stanford -3. Those are your 2 free picks. If you're looking for the rest of the sports schedule, the rest of the picks, go to GodfatherLocks.com. Buy yourself a day plan, a 3-day plan, a weekly plan, or a month, and start to invest. You invest as little as $100, as little as $30, and you buy the day for $30. You get yourself some picks. You go out to Jersey, you buy it. I mean, this applies to everybody, not just anybody. If you don't know anything about this, I've said this before. If you can't name one player on the Northwestern Wildcat roster, who cares? Who cares? When you go to the casino, do you know one thing about blackjack? You're probably playing, right? You're probably putting money out. Oh, I gotta make a quick $200. You know who made that slot machine and who created that slot machine. Do you care? You're just trying to make some money. So if you're looking to make some wagers, go on to Jersey, visit GodfatherLocks.com, get the picks, open up an account, and bet it. Whether you're in New Jersey or whether you're not, do it as you please. So that's your GodfatherLocks.com free pick. All right, top 5 games of the college football day. It's pretty simple. This day today is a huge day as the shaking up and the changes in college football start to happen. Look, as soon as we get to Halloween, this is where college football starts to kind of get a little clearer, right? We start to see who's going to be in the top 5, who's going to top 4, excuse me, who's got the inside track to the college football playoff. Today, Georgia, Florida is a big one, right? 9 versus 7, I believe, or 9 versus 6. I got to check the exact schedule here, but 2 top 10 SEC teams going at it in Jacksonville. This is a big test for Florida, whether or not to think they're legit or not. We're going to find out today. Georgia coming off of an embarrassing loss to LSU. It's hard not to think that Georgia is going to come out and try to make a statement today against Florida and try to avenge that rebound, right? To rebound from that loss. That's kind of where I'm leaning. I think Georgia today is a solid pick. If I had to give another one, Joe, right? People are pulling my hands, right? I would take Georgia. I would lay the 7 points or lay the 6.5 points and take Georgia, because everybody's going to have that one game where you say, wow, they really didn't show up, right? I mean, Georgia got blown out by LSU. Let's not take away from LSU. LSU's a pretty formidable opponent. They did everything they had to do to knock off Georgia. I think Georgia rebounds. I think Georgia exposes that Florida offense for what they really are. I had Florida a couple weeks ago against LSU. It was one of my biggest picks in the website. I think today, you look at Georgia, they run the ball better. They play better defense when push comes to shove. They had one bad game. That's it. And that one bad game could cost you a playoff spot. It ain't going to cost Georgia a playoff spot if they can run the tables here. I think it starts today. I will go Georgia. I think it's a good game to watch if you're just an average sports fan and you want to watch a college football game. Tune in at 3:30 and watch Florida versus Georgia. I think it's going to be a really physical type game. It's going to be a good one. It'll be a good one to watch. So Washington State and Stanford is your number 2 best game of the day in college football. Look, Stanford, this is a chance for Washington State to really put themselves on a map, right? If you go 7-1 and you beat Stanford on the road in Stanford, now everybody's talking about you, right? I mean, Washington State last week had a big win against Oregon, kind of brought Oregon back down to earth a little bit. Now Oregon's just, again, trying to make a good top-notch bowl game. The Pac-12 always gets ripped, right? Everybody always rips the Pac-12 for the type of teams that they shell out there and how well or how not they perform. It's a interesting conference. And look, Washington made the playoff against Auburn, and we saw what happened, a couple years ago. Against Alabama 2 years ago. We saw what happened in that. They didn't play very well. It was 24-7 was that game. So the Pac-12 gets ripped, and it's justified. They need to. This game today is big for the conference. If Washington State can put themselves on the map today at 7 o'clock in Stanford. Texas versus Oklahoma State. The reason why, speaking of legit, the reason why I put this up here is because you're looking at a Texas team that's in the Big 12. You're looking at a team where, for me, is this team legit or not? They have a game next week against West Virginia that's going to be pretty massive for the Big 12, for the outlook of the Big 12. How does Texas play today? I always talk about this, guys. Revenge, look-aheads, letdown spots, right? We saw it with Penn State when they failed to beat Ohio State and how they struggled for 2 weeks after that. You look at this game right now for Texas. Are they looking ahead to West Virginia, or are they really concerned about playing Oklahoma State in Stillwater? I think Oklahoma State it's a good pick tonight. I think it's going to be a great game. I think a field goal finish. They usually play pretty good games, the Cowboys and the Longhorns. So I think we're going to get that today in the Big 12. So those are your top 3 games of the day. And then you look at the other 2. I, for one, as far as looking at a game that's going to be entertaining, it's a line that doesn't really make sense to me. If I had to give another free pick, I'm not going to even say the free pick, but you look at the game, Missouri versus Kentucky. Kentucky, again, who's legit and who's not right now in college football? Kentucky's 6-1, but are they a legit 6-1? They're playing at Missouri, and I'm trying to find this game on the website, but they're playing at Missouri, and Missouri is a 7.5-point favorite against Kentucky, who's 6-1. Missouri's unranked. Missouri's 4-3. So it just goes to show you the odds makers don't believe in Missouri. They don't think that this team is. In Kentucky, they're not a big believer. So we're gonna find out today if Kentucky's a legit team. And the last one, of course, is Texas A&M versus Mississippi State, another big one in the SEC. Texas A&M is ranked; they're 6-1, I believe, as well. If I look at the schedule, I think they are. They're 5-2, excuse me. So another good game to watch. And then Clemson and Florida State is another one you guys can keep an eye out. All of a sudden, Purdue getting a lot of attention. They've won a couple in a row. Obviously, knocking off Ohio State last Saturday. They're in a big one against Michigan State today at noon. So your thoughts on the college football board? It's a good day to sit back. The weather's kind of ugly. I know there's a storm, the nor'easter that they're talking about. Sit back, watch some college football, some big games throughout the day that can definitely grab your attention. The big one, of course, Georgia and Florida at 3:30 today. The sponsors of the show that have made this show possible: Red Jewelers, the law offices of Albert Yaqub, The Cut Above the Rest, your Lehigh Valley Realtor Eli Boutros, Laziz Mediterranean Grill, Biagio Pizzeria, which I've talked about at length. Get yourself some great food from Laziz and Biagio, whoever you want. If whatever mood you're in, go ahead and grab yourself some delicious food today from either one of those spots up in Allentown. 4666 Broadway for Laziz and 1526 North Cedar Crest for Biagio Pizzeria. And either place, anybody you visit, tell them that we sent you from Across the Board Sports Talk Show. That's the only way we're going to know this is working, and to give back to local businesses. Of course, JDM Photography with the background and the lights. He launched the YouTube live page for us on Across the Board Sports Talk Show. If you're looking to book a birthday party, a baptism, an event, talk to Joe, email him, visit him, jdmphotography.net, and he'll get you connected with any events coming up in the near future. Of course, next year, you're already planning for some weddings. People are, right? You have to be now. It's almost November.
We have a couple small ones, a couple small events.
Mm-hmm. But
I like those. They feel more
warm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, the big weddings are awesome, but the small ones.
Yeah, it's more of like a close knit group of people at smaller weddings. You know, our community doesn't know about like small weddings.
Backyards where you set up.
Yeah.
That's dope. It's like Pinterest style.
I like that though. I like that.
I like it too.
Yeah, and if you're planning
studio coming soon.
Yes, we are trying to get a studio, thanks to the law office of Albert Yaqub, who's chipping in again. Big supporter of the show with a minor help with that, but we're trying to get some studio going on. You know, we don't want to be in an undisclosed location. Maybe we'll open up a studio, get it kind of designed. We'll put some signs up. We'll make it nice with the JDM logo, with the Across the Board logo, and we'll get some people to come on by. And we have the special guest announcer situation still open for Forum. I know if you're looking to join the show as a special guest host, put your name in the hat for that as well. So if you're looking for a GodfatherLocks.com shirt or to be a co-host on the show, throw your name in the hat. We'll make it happen, and we'll definitely get your name involved in the contest. Meza Middle Eastern Cuisine, another fine sponsor of the show. Great party last night. Phenomenal party at the Palace Center with the legend George Rassouf singing. If you want to check out videos, go to Mez's Facebook page. A lot of people were there locally. I saw Misho here earlier, said he was there and he performed. Definitely a great heffley and a great party for the community of Allentown. It gets that vibe going, right? It gets that feel that the New Year's is coming. This is when all the parties start to happen if you go out and enjoy yourself some drinks. So check out Meza. Reopened again today. They were closed for their party last night. That's how big it was. So definitely check out Meza on Mickley Road in Mickley Ave. If you're looking for a hookah or something to drink or something to eat, great fine food at Meza. Check them out tonight and watch yourself one of the college games on his TV. Elias Market and Bake Shop, another fine supporter of the program, making this show happen for some fresh produce, butcher, anything, bread, whatever you want, cakes, desserts, cookies. Check out the market and the bake shop at Elias Market. The Wooden Match, 61 West Lehigh Street, open to 2 a.m. tonight for your beer, meat, cigars. Check out the Wooden Match. Aladdin Restaurant, 651 Union Boulevard. BYOB and a belly dancer tonight. Check out Aladdin Restaurant. Essence Hookah Lounge, 3rd Street in Bethlehem, right down the street from the casino. Very easy to get to. Last night
should have a belly dancer.
The Cut?
The Cut.
I would love that.
Yeah.
Maybe when we do a live show, I gotta get a haircut, man. Get a
Beard
trim?
shave,
Yeah, I need one. I need a
belly dancer.
Yeah, I gotta trim this hair, man. It's getting too long. I should have been somebody for Halloween yesterday. I should have dressed up. Speaking of Halloween, okay.
I was too busy watching people drive like maniacs.
Yeah. Well, how about, you know what's also too though, Joe, is like I find it very interesting in today's society too that people, I mean, your family's trick or treating. This isn't what I'm ranting about, but your family's trick or treating, yet you're driving the car in a creepy fashion behind your family trick or treating. If it's too cold for you, then stay home. Okay? If you're worried about the safety of your kids, I'm all for that. But don't be creepy to the other people that are walking.
Get your ass out the car and walk.
Walk like you're the dad. I saw a dad was driving a car, and the kid and the mom were trick or treating. Reverse it. Reverse the role. The dad and the kid should be trick or treating, and the mom. If the mom's cold, I understand. Stay in the car. If the mom's pregnant, stay in the car. If the mom has a baby, stay in the car. There's a lot of reasons to do that. But the dude's sitting there on his phone, chilling in an 80-degree type car, and his mom and his wife and his kids trick or treating. And that's not why I'm ranting, but that was another thing that pissed me off, seeing that in the trick-or-treaters. And if you haven't trick-or-treated yet, I know some areas do it on Halloween night. Look out for some creepers like that. But Joe's right. Get out of the fucking car. Excuse my language. Yeah, I mean, it's just like...
It's retarded. You know what? It's retarded the amount of cars I had to shine my flashlight to make sure that they saw us because they didn't care that there was kids running everywhere.
No, they don't care. They don't care.
I felt like a damn... crossing guard or something.
Yeah.
It was retarded.
I know, and I appreciate it because we're a lot of kids. We were in a big group, and it's like you see other kids with their group, other groups with their kids, and it's like, dude, don't be a creep like that. And then, like I said earlier, there was some mischief activity going around Allentown, as it is every Halloween. Eggs being thrown, cars being vandalized. It happens. It's a shame. What are you gonna do? My rant was
get insurance.
Exactly. My rant was, before we close the show out, was if you're gonna trick or treat, okay. And the part of trick-or-treating when I was a kid and what kids are now, you go and you start in point A and you walk. And you walk across the town, an area, and you trick-or-treat, door to door. If someone's porch light's not on, you don't trick-or-treat. If someone's light's on, you go up there and you get candy. But do not, by any means, have your parents or somebody driving a van, and then you drive in a street and you look for the lights that are on, and then you just and then you sit there and wait, and then the kids get back in the van. Are you freaking kidding me? What is going on? Are people that lazy, Joe? Are people, I mean, people on Facebook, if you want to chime in on this, I thought it was the most stupid, it's the stupidest thing people could be doing. It's like, get your ass out and walk. I don't care how cold it is. It wasn't that cold. It was like 40 degrees.
Yeah, you put on the proper hoodie, preferably a Giants one or something like that,
Yeah.
or an Eagles one.
Yeah.
And you go for a walk with your kids. That's it.
You pull up a van,
If you need something to warm you up, you fill a bread soda cup with a little something and
little vodka,
walk your ass.
vodka and mango juice.
You know what? It did suck walking like 4 or 5 blocks,
but-
looking behind my back because
Yeah.
I felt someone was creeping.
That was, yeah.
That was annoying.
But trick-or-treating is meant to be walked. You go door to door, light to light, house to house. You trick or treat. You don't pull up a van and then have the kids come out of the van. Then when, okay, Chrissy and Bobby, are you done? Let's get back in the car and then let's move on to the next house. So you don't have to walk 4 houses that are dark because they're elderly. They don't give a crap about giving candy out. You want to walk? We don't want to drive you to the next street, so we're just gonna make sure we pull you out. We don't want you to walk. We'll just drive you there. That's bullshit. That I couldn't believe what I was seeing yesterday. So. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Nobody really said anything, but
there was a couple people that were pissed off. It's
just stupid to me.
They're just not the type of people that would say something like that.
Like if your kids were younger and they made you do that, you're like, what? Get your ass out and start walking.
You better start walking.
Exactly. Joe Hadid says, I'm all in for co-hosting and interacting sports. I throw my name in the hat and talk about, in the hat, and I'll talk about completing a degree in sports health science. We wish you all the luck. Joe, we will throw your name in the hat. I know Danny Diop threw his name in the hat. There were a few people that put it out on Facebook. If you want to be involved as being a special co-host, probably what we're going to do is Thanksgiving at the Cut. That makes the most sense. Yeah. We'll be there because it's a live football game. We're going to be doing some food, some beverages. We'll have a nice time there. It was a great show last year on Thanksgiving where everybody was out throwing a football around. That's tradition. If you want to be involved in that, throw your name out. But to recap a great show today, World Series Game 4 tonight. You bet your ass tomorrow we're going to talk about what happens tonight in Game 4. One of the best games I've watched. And if you're a fan of Across the Board Sports Talk Show, I don't really throw out these big, bold, huge statements of saying this was the best thing I've ever... Like when somebody eats a piece of steak from somewhere and says, this is the best steak of my life. That's not my style. I don't normally do that. For me, this was one of the best games I probably ever watched in baseball. To see the way the pitching dynamic went, the gasping, the pressure, the drama of every damn pitch last night was exceptional baseball. We've got a series. Exceptional. We've got a series. I'm all on board with the Dodgers. I have them for the World Series. People that know me know I'm taking them tonight. People that know me, I'm picking them on the website. People that know me know I think this Dodgers team is going to win the World Series. I'll be damned if this team doesn't win the World Series. I'm that confident to think they're going to go back. And the way it turned yesterday, the way the series turned, plays right into the hands of the Los Angeles Dodgers. I think they get the win tonight. I think we'll have a Game 5 tomorrow. We've got a lot to talk about tomorrow's show. We are going to be doing the show live during the London game. So the Eagles are going to be playing during the show. We'll give you live updates. I hope that you tune in tomorrow on Across the Board Sports Talk Show. We'll have some picks. We'll talk fantasy football. Big one between the Packers and the Rams tomorrow. A big one between the Saints and the Vikings tomorrow. It's a big NFL week. We'll discuss it tomorrow on the show on Across the Board Sports Talk Show.
There's also a huge game happening.
Yes.
Freedom Liberty.
Is that today?
I believe it is today.
Well, today, so it's rivalry week. So it's Freedom, Liberty, and Deer Fallon plays today. I know Deer Fallon 2-7 teams, but they play today. Wow, you might have to go to that.
So black and yellow all the way.
Yeah, Joe's a big Freedom High School grad from Bethlehem. He'll be tuned into that. Now the Giants season's over. You might want to go check out some good football there. That's a big rivalry, man. Freedom, Liberty.
It's huge.
Yeah, it's huge. You played in it for years, and big one locally for Deer Fallon. I know a lot of Deer people listening to the show. Some of my listeners that I went to school with. I appreciate you guys tuned in. Everybody tuned in on the Facebook app, on YouTube. Like, share, subscribe. LSS. And of course, on YouTube Live, you can become a subscriber. We can get this show rolling even bigger. Big shout out to all my advertisers and listeners. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Dodgers, Stanford -3, and Northwestern +3.5 in a couple of minutes. Those are your GodfatherLocks.com free picks. If you want more winners, visit GodfatherLocks.com. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Enjoy Game 4. Go Dodgers.
Clemson.
See you tomorrow. No Clemson today. No Clemson. No Clemson. See you tomorrow.